The gasoline in your tank did not come from a gas station. It came out of the ground as a thick, black liquid that would wreck your engine in about a minute. Somewhere between there and here, somebody took it apart and built it back into something your car can burn. And the last long stretch of that trip, it moved at about walking pace. This is the whole journey. 1 barrel, 42 gallons, from the well to your tank. There is a number at the end of it that looks like a mistake. It isn't. We'll get there. Here's the first thing nobody tells you. What comes out of the ground is not fuel. Crude oil is a mixture, thousands of different hydrocarbon molecules all jumbled together. Some so light they're basically gas, some so heavy they're nearly solid at room temperature. Pour it into your tank and nothing good happens. There is no gasoline in there waiting to be poured off. Gasoline is not something crude oil contains, it's something a refinery makes out of it. Which raises the obvious question. If it's all mixed together, and most of it is the wrong stuff, how do you get gasoline out of that? First, it has to get somewhere that can do the job. Tanker or pipeline, sometimes both, to a refinery. And here is a number that surprises people. In the entire United States, as of the start of this year, there are 130 operable refineries. 130. For a country that burns through hundreds of millions of gallons a day. They are enormous, they run continuously, and there are not many of them, which is why when one goes down for maintenance, prices in a whole region move. Between them, they can process about 18 million barrels a day, and that number is shrinking. 2 refineries shut for good last year, one in Houston, one in Los Angeles. And together they took about 400,000 barrels a day of capacity off the board. Your gasoline almost certainly came from one of a small number of places and traveled a long way to reach you. Inside, the first thing that happens is the simplest, and it's still the cleverest. They heat the crude up and run it into a tall column, and the mixture sorts itself by boiling point. The lightest molecules boil first, rise highest, and come off the top. The medium weight stuff, kerosene, jet fuel, diesel, condenses in the middle, and the heaviest fractions never really make it up at all. They settle at the bottom as thick, tarry residue. Nobody is separating anything by hand. You apply heat, and physics files the barrel into layers. But there's a ceiling on how hard you can push it. Around 750 degrees Fahrenheit, the oil stops separating and starts breaking apart on its own, cracking, right there in the column, where nobody wants it. So the tower can only reach so far down the barrel. But look at what that actually leaves you. A big share of a barrel is heavy, low-value material. If all a refinery did was heat crude up and collect the layers, you'd get some gasoline and an enormous pile of tar. So where does the rest of the gasoline come from? This is the part that turns a sorting machine into a factory. They take those heavy molecules and they break them. Heat, pressure, and catalysts. The process is literally called cracking, snapping long, heavy hydrocarbon chains into short, light ones. Tar goes in, gasoline components come out. A refinery doesn't just sort your barrel, it rebuilds it. Which brings us to the number that looks like a mistake. 42 gallons of crude go in. 44.65 gallons of product come out. That is 2.5 more gallons than went in. And no, they are not making matter out of nothing. The products are less dense than the crude they came from. Same mass, more volume. The industry calls it processing gain, and it runs about 6%. You genuinely get more gallons out of a barrel than you put into it. Even now, it isn't gasoline yet. What comes off those units are streams, components. And finished gasoline is those streams blended to hit a spec. Octane is the one everyone's seen on the pump. But here's the one nobody's seen. The gasoline sold in July is a different recipe from the gasoline sold in January. In summer heat, gasoline evaporates out of the fuel system faster, and those vapors cook into ground-level ozone. So the fuel sold in the warm months has to be less volatile. Federal law caps it at 9 pounds per square inch, and tighter than that in some cities. Winter gasoline doesn't carry that cap, so refiners can blend in more butane. Butane evaporates easily, which is fine in January and a problem in July. So in summer, it has to come out. And summer-grade fuel costs refiners several cents a gallon more to make. Same pump, same brand, a different fuel twice a year. So that's the chemistry. Heat it, sort it, break the heavy half, blend it back to spec. What's left is the part almost nobody thinks about. Because a refinery on the Gulf Coast is a very long way from the pump you actually use. Finished gasoline mostly travels by pipeline, and pipelines are slower than everyone assumes. Product moves through them at roughly 3 to 8 miles an hour. Call it 5. That is walking pace. The gasoline in your tank covered hundreds of miles of its journey slower than you could jog it. And it does not have the pipe to itself. Gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel run down the same line, one after another, in batches, nose to tail. Which sounds like it should be a disaster. Doesn't it all just mix? A little, at the seams. That mixed zone has a name, transmix, and the operators track it, cut it out, and send it back to be reprocessed. The pipeline ends at a terminal, a tank farm, and a row of loading bays called the rack. This is where the tanker trucks fill, and it's the last stop before your station. And here's the part people find hard to believe. Different companies that own stations in the same area may be buying their gasoline from the same terminal. The Energy Information Administration puts it about as plainly as a government agency can. The only difference between one company's gasoline and another company's is the small amount of additives they blend in before it goes out to their stations. And that happens right there as the truck loads. Same fuel, different sticker. So, 42 gallons went into that refinery. Here is where they came out. 19.57 gallons became gasoline, less than half. 12.5 became diesel and heating oil, including the diesel burned by the truck that delivered your gasoline. 4.4 became jet fuel, and 0.84 gallons became asphalt and road oil, which means some of that same barrel is the road you are driving on while you burn the rest of it. 44.65 gallons. All of it accounted for. That's the whole trip. Out of the ground is something useless, sorted by heat, rebuilt by pressure, walked across the country in a pipe, and split between your tank, the truck that delivered it, and the road underneath both of you. Next time the number on the pump moves, you know how many steps had to happen first. See you at the rack.